Hey guys, let's take a little tour of an interior paint job we're currently working on. You'll often hear me talking about the 5 task pillars of residential interior painting. They are setup, job site protection, surface preparation and repair, paint application, and last but not least, our cleanup processes. In this video, we're going to focus on the first 3 and give you guys a little sneak peek into our setup processes, some of our best practices for job site protection, and some of the more underrated and underappreciated elements of surface preparation and repair.
It's really important to have a project setup area where you can stage your tools and equipment and keep them out of the workspace and pour your paint. You can see here that we started the process of removing electrical wall plates, and we have moved all the furniture away from the walls and the trim and centered them in the room. You can see that we've used a lot of lightweight plastic to protect our customers' belongings from paint splatter and project dust. Here's Matt in process with removing the wall plate. Some more lightweight plastic. Want to really try to get plastic covering all the belongings and down to the floor. Here's Matt with the best practice. When we remove outlet covers, go ahead and put the screws back in the hole because they are very easy to be misplaced on a project. Here we have Colin working on floor protection, utilizing some heavy-duty, wide rosin paper. We like to use that in hallways and entryways. You can see some lightweight masking paper, 9-inch and 12-inch masking paper that we use a lot of the other perimeter of the rooms. Here's Wyatt starting the process of cleaning the trim, making sure we're removing any dust and dog hair. Once the trim is clean, he begins the process here of doing some manual scuff sanding with a hand sponge. And then as he's going, he's also wiping any residual dust away with a rag. And the reason we're doing this is not for any major aesthetic issues. Although it does help in that regard, it's really about creating a little bit of abrasion in the surface so that the next layer of paint will bond really well. His father asked him why he wasn't wearing an N95 mask, and you'll see that he then put it on, which is advisable. There's not a lot of dust creation going on here, but it's always a good best practice. Want to be a little bit more long and sand with the grain when you're working on scuff sanding like that. Here we have Matt laying down some caulk where there's some gaps in the existing trim. You can see that once he puts it on, he's finger tooling it really nice and smooth here. You'll notice that he has a damp cloth with him that he uses to keep his fingers clean. And he'll also even use it to clean off his caulk gun nozzle, like you see right there. You don't have to caulk all the trim necessarily, just wherever there are gaps.
We're going to take a closer look at this wall. You can see that there has been a lot of shedding from a prior paint job. So you can see that is really just roller lint coming off. Some of that might even be some chunks of dried latex, but I think it's mostly just that we had a lot of shedding with the prior applicator, and that's why it's important to use high quality applicators to avoid this. But it's also important when we're doing preparation on paint jobs. That's why we scuff sand in a big open area like we have on this project. We'll actually use our Festool planer, which is mostly designed for sheetrock finishing work, but it's also a great tool for scuff sanding a big wall like this very quickly and efficiently in a mostly dustless fashion, because all the dust gets sucked up into the vacuum. And we'll run through and do that now, and you're going to see how nice and smooth this surface will be. It's going to be great for paint adhesion, and just as importantly, it's going to really improve the appearance and the finish quality of this wall by knocking all this stuff down before we put on paint. how beautiful this wall looks. We've really scuffed it down well. It's going to be great for adhesion of the next round of paint we're going to put on this, and we have just eliminated all that nasty shedding. This feels like glass before it felt like rubbing my hand on a piece of sandpaper. Here's another thing that we use our Festool equipment for. We have some old sags where the paint was applied a little heavy on this area. It can be common in a small area like this where you're trying to get some roller application. It just goes on a little heavy here, and then it takes a little too long to dry. You're on an exterior wall, so sometimes the drying is a little bit slower and you can get some sagging in the paint. Now you could scrape that off with a 5-way tool. Sometimes you might even need to skim that and sand it smooth with some joint compound. We're going to use the Festool, the smaller handheld style sander, and we're going to buzz these right down as to where we won't even have to skim them. You can see this buzzed down nice, very smooth. Those sags are gone. And we always relook them. Once we put on the first coat of paint, we can look it over. If there's any remnants of them still existing, we could always skim over it with joint compound and then sand that smooth. But I really think we're gonna be fine here. I think these sags are 100% gone and gonna be ready for the next round of paint.
Here's Matt working on patching some nail holes. He's using the butt end of his 5-way tool to push the frayed nail holes inward so that they're easier to skim over and fill. There are a lot of different types of imperfections that need to be taken care of on a typical painting project. Dents, big holes, patches, stress cracks, all of which are things that we fix and work on a regular basis.
Well, there you have it, guys. We'll keep plugging on the rest of the preparation and look forward to jumping into some paint application soon on this project. And of course, we'll always be cleaning up after ourselves, both while the project is ongoing and at the conclusion of the project. So please be sure to subscribe to Braun's Painting Network today and follow our playlist titled The Paint Trainer Series, where we'll be providing in-depth tutorials and training for residential painting projects all year long and into the future. Happy painting.